Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mindset Matters, where we explore the often overlooked world of mental health and athletics, as well as uncovering the unique challenges and triumphs that come with an athlete's journey. I am your host, Victoria Virgos, and today's episode explores the role of mentors/coaches in your athletic world, as well as having a good team and the significance of that and what it means. So in my personal opinion, I believe every individual and athlete needs something different in their life and their development because looking at it from a team perspective or not, everyone develops at different levels and at a different pace, and everyone learns in a different way especially. So someone could pick up a new skill or hobby and master it in 2 months, and someone else could need, say, 8 months before it really clicks. Mentorship is, if not, the most important aspect in the world of sport and competition because it ties into your mentality, which I think is more critical than your physical strengths and abilities to a certain extent. Note that. I think your physical attributes and characteristics play a really important part. But anyways, everyone deserves a good mentality and the right guidance and team to feel supported and confident in what they're doing as well as their training. People need to know that whoever is with them through wins and losses and goods and bads, which is so important and where I think that connection really builds with an athlete and their coach or an athlete and their team. And when I say team, I refer to not only your coaches and teammates who's at your training facility and competitions. I think that is most important. I think a lot of people can agree, but I also mean things such as like your physiotherapist, your nutritionist, if you have mentors, or chiropractors, if you will, sponsors, and just anyone who adds value and support to you and your goals. But communicating and understanding, as well as having a good connection with all of the above, is really important so they know you and you know them and there's no misinformation or miscommunication. So anyways, I'm going to break this episode down into a few segments where I discuss the benefits that your mentors and team bring, how to know if you're with the right group, the impacts it will have on you, and how to build this support team. So firstly, having a good team and coach or coaches requires trust. Full, complete trust on both sides and full communication on how you feel, how they feel, what's going well, and what needs to be worked on. Because if there's no trust, then there's no communication, period, and more importantly, there's no understanding. If there's an issue, then it needs to be resolved. It can't be hidden, it can't be not talked about. It needs to be worked on and fixed right away. And over time and with experiences, you'll build more of that trust and more of that connection with whoever you're with. But I think it's really important to note that right from the start, it is important to speak what's on your mind. And it's important for the other side to also speak what's on their mind. So that's very important for sure, which also involves having the right people and team around you, which I'll touch on more later on this episode. But 80% of people who receive the right coaching report a boost in self-confidence, which is so true. And I can speak from experience that when someone can reassure you and believes in you before yourself, you know you are what you surround yourself with. So that will help. And it won't do it for you. It won't make you 100% confident in yourself and your abilities because there's always the part from you that needs to be done. And there's always the work that you have to do to ensure that you're fully confident in yourself. So it's definitely a good additive to have, especially if you're someone who still struggles to find that balance where you talk to yourself in the right way and you give yourself the right advice. And if you're someone who still struggles with being completely confident in themselves. Something to remember too is that a good coach or coaches will never make you do or set you up for something that you're not ready for, which is something to remember the next time you doubt yourself or think you can't do something. A good coach will want you to speak and be honest and open up because A, it makes working together easier, and B, you can perform and do better because you're not hiding anything. For example, injuries, external problems, mental blocks, and whatnot. but also knowing that they know the full you gives you that opportunity to have nothing to lose and to just perform to impress/make them proud and not be threatened. And regarding a good team, physically things like chiros, physios, nutritionists, etc. all play a key role and are supporting you to be the best you, just as sponsors would support you financially based on what you give back as well. So, or maybe they send you stuff, whatever it may be. So everyone plays a role in taking away some extra stressors and pressures that you may face, and they all assist in some kind of helpful way for you. So it's important to have a good coach and a good team. And a side note with that is it's important that you are a good, faithful, loyal athlete who gives back to them and does your part as well. And what I mean is you can be coachable, you can listen, you can show up, you can make them proud, and you can be easy to work with. So moving on to my next point, how do you know if you're in the right team/circle? Kind of to circle back for a moment, one thing I notice and one thing I believe is that your coach should be someone you're trying to make proud of, and you should perform for them to make them happy, not because you feel pressured or threatened. You're supposed to feel pressured, don't get me wrong. You're supposed to feel pressured to show them everything you guys have worked on and to show them that you care about their input and all the time and repetitions and work you guys have put in together and etc. But I don't mean a pressure as in, oh, my coach is going to hate me after this and they're going to be mad at me if I lose. Your group and coaches should understand you, your sport, and should be just as eager to progress and get good results as you are. It definitely goes both ways though, and it's kind of like if you give 50%, then your coach should give you 50%. If you give 100, then so should they. You kind of get the idea. It's like you get what you give. Another thing as well is that you should be able to be your authentic self without having anything to cover or kind of shell up in a sense, because if you feel the need to always watch your every move or feel like you're walking on eggshells in a way, then it's not ideal to think you're going to perform your best for them all the time. Because don't get me wrong, you totally can, but it's not sustainable and you will figure that out sooner or later. So some ways to know you have the right team and coaches are that you all should support and agree with the same long-term and short-term goals. Not to mention, you should also feel like you're achieving them. You have effective communication. You feel supported and heard and valued, and so should they. And you can connect and trust them without any doubt. One thing I'm going to mention too is sometimes you know, and there could be a lot of the time where people don't know if and when they have a bad coach. As crazy as that sounds, because it should just feel like, oh, you know if someone's a bad person and a bad coach, but what I mean by this is in any sport, each gym and each coach have their own way of doing things that may not work for you, or they could claim that it's the only way it can be done, or else the issue is you. Which is not true at all, because I believe there is a solution for almost everything, and a knowledgeable coach will see everyone's different skill levels, their out of sport situations, if they're burnt out, not feeling their best, etc., and work around everything that comes with that. It's like being a teacher, and I must give credit to teachers. I don't know how they do what they do, but say a class of 20 students take place and it's math or science, and I'm picking the hardest subjects in my personal opinion, but a student with a 70% average is not going to learn or pick up as fast as the kid with a 94% average. But they totally can. That's the thing. It's not like they're not as smart, because they probably are just as smart. It could be easily that they don't learn well off of that teacher's style, or maybe they don't learn well or feel the most comfortable in that environment. There's different factors and surroundings that impact the way and how fast one learns, so it really isn't fair to put a bunch of kids together and make them do everything and learn everything the same way and pace, and then get mad at the ones who don't keep up. I'll throw in a super random factor that I read from a book, which I hope makes sense, but it's definitely true. Kids born in January / the beginning of the year versus kids born in December and the end of the year. Countless high-level hockey teams were compared through the 1900s, and over half of the team were born in January through March, and only a few through September to December. Even in school, the same study was conducted. Student averages and test scores were compared, and once again, over half of the ones with the highest grades were born at the beginning of the year, and the ones with the lower grades and averages were born near the end of the year. Back to the hockey example, the cutoff date for playing hockey in a given age class in Canada is January 1st, so this means that a child who was born on December 31st, 2007 could play alongside somebody who was born on January 1st, 2007 and is a full year older. And this is called the relative age effect, which describes a phenomenon where a child who was born in an early part of a selection period tends to be more successful than a child born late in the selection period. This is something I just wanted to put in there. I found interesting and it kind of relates to this topic. So back to having a good coach and good teams. My point with this is some coaches and teams don't tune in with each athlete as an individual, and they don't make the time to see how they progress and work and learn, etc. And when they decide to group everyone together and be like, it's this way or the highway, essentially, it's not sustainable, and not everyone on both sides sees that. And don't get me wrong here, I'm not saying that you as an athlete have to have the mindset as, oh, I learned differently, I'm special, I'm not going to do what everyone else does. Because in that case, that's just wrong. Don't get it mixed up that you have to be arrogant and that you deserve to be treated differently. Because there are a lot of benefits of doing things as a team and learning as a team and helping each other. My point was more so that everyone does learn at a different level and at a different speed and learns in a different way, and a good coach will see that. But as we wrap up today's episode, having a supportive coach or coaches and a good team by your side can truly make all the difference in your athletic development. Just remember to do your part to communicate clearly, have mutual respect, and have the same goals. I will see you guys next week for episode 8, but in the meantime, take care of yourselves.